Hey guys, Caleb Mackey here with the final chapter of our Life's Little Golden Nuggets video with solution focused therapy. We're going to be finishing with the last book that I have of my possession of Steve Shazer. That's primarily his own work, not including other ones that were done by other people. But this one is called More Than Miracles, the State-of-the-Art of Solution-Focused Brief Therapy. I have this one on ebook because I did a training on it and costs less. So unfortunately, I used to have the original version. This was a new one that came out in 2021, a new edition. So I'll be using this today to help kind of go through what it is. And so you can find it online. That's where I got this. You can also buy the book if you're a paperback person. But without further ado, let's begin with the last book by Steve Shazer for solution-focused brief therapy. So honestly, the first chapter that it talks about is literally an overview of all the different skills that make up solution-focused brief therapy. And so we're just going to go talk about that. We're going to go through it and just talk about it. It's not theory-based, pragmatically developed. It was developed because they started noticing things that were happening that made differences, and then they started going from there. Whereas most people look at situations and go, I have an idea that this could help, so they start developing the theory of how it could help, and then they start applying the theory. They weren't trying to find anything, they just started noticing, oh, these things are helping more in session. Let's try to build that, and then through that they created this therapy that has also turned into its own theory as well. So here are some of the major tenets. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. If it's already working, don't stop doing it. Very important. If it works, do more of it. And if it's not, do something different. Simple in theory, difficult in practice, but it really makes a lot of sense. They also focus on small steps that lead to big changes. I very much am an advocate of that theory. Very few problems or very few things are easily attainable by one big choice. It's usually consistent daily small choices over a prolonged period. If it is a quick fix, awesome. Be joyful about that. But if not, understand that that's probably more the norm or more what's common. The solution is not necessarily directly related to the problem. Yep, from keys to solution in brief therapy. Steve says it doesn't matter if it seems irrelevant, if it seems stupid, funny, ridiculous to me. If it works for them or you, then okay, it works. Doesn't always have to be exactly related in every facet. The language for solution development is different from that needed to describe a problem. No problems happen all the time. There are always exceptions that can be utilized. So instead of using problem-focused language, focus on when it's not going as bad, when you are more of what you want to be or what your life you would like for it to be, what's going on, what's happening, what are you doing? The future is both created and negotiable. Yes, absolutely. And the goal is to have a positive, solution-focused stance instead of focusing so much on problems. Look for previous solutions before they came to see you. Look for exceptions currently or in the past, or that can come up in the future. Not as much directive, a lot more just questions and interpretations. Present focused and future focused, not as much past focused unless it's about compliments of how well they've done of past successes. Compliments, of course, gentle nudging to do more of what is working. So if someone says, hey, my life is not going too great, but I remember that I went for a walk and I felt better a little bit. Okay, then don't stop the walking. If it works, it works. Keep doing it. Don't think of it as a fluke. Focus on pre-session change. What was better between the first time to now that we're seeing each other, or last time to now. Using the miracle question and making solution-focused goals. Using scales to make it concrete and a little more definable, especially using the client's language. Hey, when this is the best day that it's been, or when this is where the problem is not a problem anymore, compared to now, where are you? And then let's start using that scale to kind of say, hey, where are we? I find that really helpful. Constructing, of course, solutions and exceptions. Uh, Coping questions. How is it that you're coping so well with this, even if it's hard? How is it that you're coping, even though it feels hopeless? Is there anything that I forgot to ask? Probably one of my favorite questions ever. Is there anything that I missed? Very important, because more than likely, after talking, after thinking, more information and more realities are coming to a client's mind, so it's good to check in on that. They also take breaks during sessions. Experiments and homework assignments, very helpful. So what is better? Even a little bit since the last time we met. Even a little bit is an exception and a potential solution. So all of these things are so important in regards to how we try to use that and focus on creating change for our client. They also really like to focus on what the client brings up. If a client answers a question we didn't ask, we know that this is the question we should have asked because it refers to what is relevant for the client. If they're coming in saying they want relationship problems to go away or to be better, and then we start talking about how relationships can be better by doing these things, and then they say, well, I would like it more if my partner got off my back. Oh, okay. So instead of focusing on how we can make the client change their behavior to get their partner off their back, instead of doing it just as a general psychoeducational approach, we then say, oh, so you just want your partner to get off your back. Okay. What have you done in the past that's helped with that? What do you think you could do that could get them off your back that you haven't tried before? Helping lead to solution-focused questions that are relevant to the client. They also refer about being silent. They focus a lot on silence because in the silence, work is still happening. People get so awkward, they feel like things are not changing, not happening because it's silent. Cannot agree with that. That, or at least theoretically, cannot agree with that. If you believe that it is, okay. But if it's quiet, my mind is still going. My life is still changing. The world is still moving. So change is always happening, even if it's silent. So yes, the power of silence to help clients process things that can lead to change. That is one of my weaker spots. I don't always give my clients all the time in silence, but sometimes I have, and it's been so helpful. And not just for them, but even for me when I've tried to take time to think about things and to figure out how I can approach a situation differently. And then the big idea is about language. Language is both the key to the problem and the key to the solution because there are traps and knots inherent in language, as the book says. And obviously, language is the primary tool of clients and therapists for doing therapy, and language must be used to resolve muddles and to get us out of the traps and knots inherent in language. Just because you're talking to someone doesn't mean it's always helping. Sometimes, in fact, or I almost guarantee that it almost makes it worse every time without extra intention, thought, and effort. But it doesn't mean it's hopeless and that it is possible for change to be found. It just takes the hard work of knowing that we are two different people from two different contexts coming together, and we are trying to figure this out together. So, more than likely, by the end of everything, we want the client to decide for themselves what they want to do. People are always going to say, well, shouldn't they come to therapy to get help from a professional, to get advice, or to try to get answers to their problems? If it happens to work out that way, yes. But more than likely, I don't know what the problem is for the client. I don't know what it looks like from their point of view. I don't know what solution is that they want to see happen in their life. I don't know. I can give them research-based things from past experiments done with other people, but that may not always be relatable to them. So we want to make it relevant to the client, focused on what they want to see change and what they want to see happen differently, empowering them through their own decisions and their own ability to choose. Of course, saying, listen, if you want other people to change, All of us do, and that'd be wonderful, but none of us are genies. So it's got to be us that's got to do something different to achieve any different result. If someone else changes, be grateful as an exception to the rule, but not anything that can be repeated. And we want to focus on what can be done in the client's control that can be repeated. And our advice is always suggestions. They're offered tentatively as alternatives that the client may adopt or discard depending upon whether or not it fits. So the focus is on what fits for the client, using their language through things like the coping questions, the miracle questions, scaling questions. All of these things come together to create, how is it that you want to see your life differently? How can we break it down into the most simple possible? Even if it's vague and you don't 100% know, we can still work with that. We just got to then focus on, okay, let's notice the vague and catch any time that it's different that's better. Paying attention to a small exception. Literally can work with any client of any population and can be done. It just takes a lot of work on the therapist's end to use this approach, but it can be so helpful, and it can also really focus on the hope and the eventual success of the client rather than always focusing on the problems that are there or that can keep reoccurring. In life, we will always experience problems. But if that's all that it is, if that's why we keep going back to therapy, that's not going to help. There's a specific solution-focused therapist named Elliot Connie who I listen a lot to. And he says, we want to encourage and empower clients to handle life on life's terms. And honestly, that's what all therapists are trying to do anyway. But solution focus does it in a way that really matches my personality, but in a way that says, let's increase the hope, let's increase the motivation, let's increase the confidence, let's increase all the ways that a client can with what they have control of, and then see what happens. So, there we go. Wrapping up with more than miracles, continuing to remember that the little gold nuggets are always there. They're always happening just as much as the problem. Focusing on those, remembering those exceptions, noticing how well you're doing compared to the past, knowing how you would like it to be different and to imagine what that future would look like, and then to make that dream become a reality through those behavior choices that you make. It's possible, it's doable, it's all upon you, and there are people out there who can help you, like solution-focused therapy, to help make that a reality. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Thank you so much. This has been another little Life's Gold Nuggets. Honestly, I don't know what's going to happen next. All I know is the gold nuggets are going to keep coming. And as they come and as I find it relevant and available to me, I will then make another video. So thank you so much for your time. And if you want, stay posted. Other than that, keep digging and keep looking for the gold.